Hello, today I'm going to be talking to you about credit and just how important credit really is. Many of us think that credit is just, something that really doesn't matter. We really don't realize just how much it really does matter. If we're trying to purchase something and we have poor credit, then we pay so much more for that same object or thing than if we would have had good credit. Um, we think about credit in kind of like three different tiers. You can have poor credit, you can have good credit, or you can have excellent credit. And as we know, that our credit score can go to 850. Now, if we are somewhere in the 500s, where many Americans are, um, in the 500s, very low 600s, that's not good credit. So, a lot of times, if we're getting ready to purchase an item, just say a car, we may have to go to something like a buy here, pay here. Or if we can purchase the car, our interest rate is going to be so much higher than if we would have had good credit. So we want to always keep our credit good, because that's another way that in this society, America gets over on us, the institutions. And so we wonder why we stay poor. We stay poor because we don't know how to keep our money. We are consumers. We're constantly in the marketplace. We're constantly putting our money to uses that does not increase our wealth or our savings. We're not what we really have to do is get educated about finances and investments and how to keep more of our money like the rich do, or the other people, I should say. Um, so we have to get better at knowing what we're doing and not just doing something because someone else is doing it or because we want everybody to see what we got. Oftentimes, we people who look like me, a lot of times we're living above our means. We're living above our means. We're buying things that we cannot afford. And why do we do that? I would imagine we do that so others can see what we got, so people can perceive that we're doing better than we are. But we have to learn that it's really not about others. We need to work on us and make sure that we live beneath our means, not above our means. Because if we don't have savings or emergency fund and we get on a tight, those people who we're trying to impress is not going to help us. And that causes so many problems, internal problems for us, such as stress, aggravation, headaches. Sometimes it even causes us to be mean to people, because we got a bad attitude, because our finances got us all tied up and those kinds of things. But we have to learn to release ourselves. How can we release ourselves? By living beneath our means. If you know you can't afford something, you do not get it to impress someone else. Make sure that you have already planned out what you're gonna do, and make sure that you know that you will be able to afford this particular object. And I understand that anything can happen. So what if you get laid off, or what if you get sick, or what if you have to leave your job? Maybe you may even get fired. Okay, so those are things that we have to take into consideration. So what if things things happen sometimes? So what if that happened? Do we have something that we can fall back on? Where can we get the finances to pay our bills? Because the creditors do not want to hear, well, I got sick, I was in the hospital, I had to take care of my mom or my auntie, I had to fly to, Europe or wherever, or New York, and this, and I had to do this. They do not want to hear, they don't care. Oftentimes, we are trying to get ahead just because we've worked hard, so we want to get ahead and we deserve it. But sometimes we get into this where we want to help everybody. I'm one that really believes in helping people, but I have to know that you're helping yourself. I have to know that you are putting your money to good use. Because why would I give you my money for you to mess up my money like you've messed up yours? And most of the time, if we have been good stewards over what God has blessed us with, we can manage pretty well. We can manage pretty well. And sometimes when we are wanting things that we cannot afford, that means that we need to stop, take a step back, and look inside. What is really going on? Why aren't we happy with things that we can afford? And why can't we wait and work toward those things that we desire? We have to learn to have patience, perseverance, discipline. We have to educate ourselves. Most of the time, we are hard workers. We work hard, but it's a thing say, I work hard and I play hard. And it's okay to have fun. We should have fun. We're supposed to have fun. But there has to be a balance. And if we work and we make $100,000 a year and we spend $100,000 a year, then what do we have? What kind of legacy are we leaving? What do we have for the next generation? What do we have for our children? What do we have for our grandchildren? What do we have for ourselves if something happens? If something really happens, again, like the examples I use of maybe even being laid off from your job. Well, if you spend everything that you had, you don't have an emergency fund. That's a really good way to get your credit jacked up, because then you need to borrow money and you can't pay it back. And when you can't pay it back, and sometimes we might say, well, I just missed one payment. One payment can really mess your credit up. The creditors are looking for 100% on-time payments. That's what they're looking for. So we have to think about our credit as our adult, report card. Our report card. When you're in school and you're doing, fairly well, maybe making, I'm going to say, B's and C's, so kind of like I might say an average student. But then for some reason you get into this mode, or maybe you just get this really difficult class, and so now, oh God, you're making the F-bombs. You're making you're not making good grades, and so it brings your average down. So it is with our credit report. When we start missing payments, it's like we're making F's. We're no longer making A's and B's. Now our credit score is coming down, the average of it. And you would be really surprised how one missed payment can affect your whole credit profile. credit is so important. As I mentioned, paying your bills on time, every time, all the time, is so important. But also, we have to understand the credit mix, what we need in our credit profile. Well, we need some revolving credit, meaning something that we pay like credit cards. And if we have a $500 credit card, well, it doesn't hold the same weight as if we had a $10,000 credit card. So how do we get a $10,000 credit card? If we have bad credit, we may have to start with a secured credit card. And that's okay, because all of us have to start somewhere. So, how do you get a secured credit card? Well, you go into the bank or the credit union and you take a little money with you, maybe $500, as little probably as $250, and you open an account and you let them know that you want to do a secured credit account. And so what you can do, they can either give you a card or you can use it as a loan. So we're just going to say $500. So you go into the bank or the credit union or whatever institution, and you actually take $500 and you ask them, you let them know that you want to open a secured credit loan. So what they will do is take your $500 and immediately you will have $500 credit. Okay, so what happens, you can take in that same day and you can spend it all if you want to, or you could spend, I'm going to say maybe $100. You can spend it however you want to, but just for example purposes, I'm trying to let you know that you can just say you can spend $100 this week, maybe next week you can spend $150, or however you want to do it. You could spend $100 a month, or again, you could spend it all in 1 month or in 1 day. It's your money. It really is your money. And the reason that they're giving you that $500 credit line is because they have security. They have your $500. So in other words, what they're trying to do is build trust with you, because they don't know you. That's like if a stranger come and ask me, they want to borrow $300. I've never seen them a day in my life. I don't know where they come from. I don't know. I don't have any track record for them. I don't have any history about how they pay. I don't know, why are you in this situation? Why are you needing to borrow money from me? How do I know you're going to pay it back? I don't know anybody who have loaned you money before and you've paid them back or you didn't pay them back. I have no history about you. So perhaps if you have something of value that you can give me, then maybe I can give you the money, because I get to keep something that I know is of value. And it would probably, for me, would be something of more valuable, more value than the $500. Otherwise, I didn't help myself. But again, I'm not a bank. So the bank is willing, ready, and able to loan money, and they want to loan money, but we have to have the data points that they're looking for. In other words, they have to have, if they don't have a history of us paying back our bills and paying them back on time, then we need to create that history. And again, one way that we can do it, one of the best ways, easiest ways, and for a person who's just starting to build credit, would be through a secured loan or secured card. And again, when we say secured, that just means that you are actually putting something up so that in case you're not paying your bills, that they're guaranteed their money. And when I say putting something up, actually I mean you're putting cash up. And so that's how we start to build our credit. And so once every month when you get your statement and you have a balance due, just say, well, you spent, I'll say you spent $350. You didn't spend the whole $500. Well, but they only want you or require you to pay $15, $20. Well, if you pay that consistently, and they see every month that you're paying your statement, you're paying what they ask you to pay. You're paying it consistently. You're not missing. You're not saying, well, I don't have it this month, so I'm just not going to pay them anything. If they can see, so what they're doing, they're building a relationship. You're building a relationship with them. They're getting some history on you. They're looking at your track record. So now they know, well, once that's paid off, guess what you can do? That's paid off, and you still have your $500. Because all you done was took the $500 and you put it down for security. So every time you make a payment, a portion of your money become available, of your money, not the loan. But once the loan is paid off, you still have your $500. And so now, guess what? You can go back and ask that same financial institution to loan you $500 unsecured. So they will loan you the $500 unsecured now, because they know that you will pay back, and you do have, a little money. You do have $500. So now, with your $500 that you have and the $500 that they loan you, all of a sudden you have $1,000. So now you don't take that and go and, well, I got $1,000, I'm gonna go shopping and just blow the money. We're always looking for opportunities to grow our money, investments, savings. We're looking at building our emergency fund, because emergencies will happen. They're gonna happen as long as we live. Every once in a while you'll get either flat tire or just a tire with low air, is losing air, is the rubber is getting bad, is you need an oil change in your car. Every once in a while you gotta buy a new refrigerator. Every once in a while you gotta buy new furniture. You just have to, because this stuff don't last forever. If you haven't saved up for these purchases, they really become an emergency, because now you gotta scrape and scramble and try to find the money to make these purchases. And like furniture, you might can wait, but your transportation, especially if you're traveling back and forth to work, we have to have our transportation. So most of the time we are, we have to come out of pocket, or we have to find the funds from somewhere. But if we have saved for our emergency fund, then we can just go and get the money and pay for what we need to pay for. Otherwise, again, we get ourselves in a situation where we're on a hamster wheel. where we're always needing help and needing money and needing to borrow, and our interest rate is high. Nobody's trusting us, and that's a bad way to live. So I'm talking to all of my people and others, everybody, who need to work on your credit. It's very important. It really is your adult report card. Let's be adults. Love you. Have a blessed day.